Have you ever had a game that gave you really fond memories but you forgot the name of? Whether it was a game that had really eye-catching box art that I saw at a store or something cool that I caught a glimpse of at my friend's house, I always found myself in situations like this when I was younger. During my middle school days, I would stay at a camp when summer rolled around. Luckily, there was both a games room and a computer lab campers had access to at all time. In the games room, many matches of Super Smash Bros. Were had on the N64, while Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 was played almost 24/7 on the PlayStation. In the computer lab, there were games being played all the time. I remember a lot of the younger kids playing the Magic School Bus and Humongous Entertainment games, Pajama Sam, Freddy Fish, you know the deal. Us big kids had a certain trio we always stuck to. Backyard baseball, which I'm definitely going to talk about one day. Monster Truck Madness and Robot Wars, not sure which version though, it's been a while. But there was one game I remember playing that was so strange, so goofy, and so different from anything else I had ever played. This revisited my subconscious just the other day, and the only thing I really remember about it is that you played as a generic-looking bald guy who threw hammers. So I got the oh-so-brilliant idea of Google searching PC game where you're a bald guy who throws hammers at people. I was not disappointed. I found it. Spooky Castle. With a name that memorable, I can't believe I forgot it. I know most of you are probably thinking that I torrented this game, but I didn't. The game is a free download on itch.io. It takes up a staggering 5 megabytes of space. I'm so fucking excited to play this game again, I don't even know where to start. Well, we have 3 levels to choose from off the bat. Choose your own adventure style, I can dig it. Since this is an older PC game, we'll be walking with the arrow keys as opposed to the more natural WASD way. Of course, the infamous red hammer I remembered so well was sitting and waiting for me in the top left corner. But the question is, how do you use it? M1, spacebar, any of the QWERTY keys, any of the number keys? Nope, none of those either. I snaked my way through every single lettered key until I found out the way to throw hammers is the Z key. Besides being placed on a seemingly random key, the placement actually isn't that bad. They're spaced out enough that your hands end up being in a very natural position. You don't have to bend your hand in any weird ways or move them off from where they are already. Throwing the hammers is a little bit weird. You think that you would either be able to just lock yourself in place and shoot in any direction you want, or just walk around while throwing them, and you do neither. When you throw the hammer, it's not one constant repeating action. Even if you hold the key down, our neon green shirt wearing friend still treats each throw as its own action. This results in a lot of throws followed by small fidgets. I eventually would just aim myself in a direction and take my hands off the arrow keys while holding down Z to get a cleaner attack with no interruptions. But doing that felt completely unnatural. Imagine if every time you fired the blaster with Fox and Smash Bros, he had to manually unholster and holster it after every shot. It's kind of like that. You're able to get more hammers later on, which helps a ton since it covers more ground, but they're still incredibly annoying to use. If you have 2 of them, they perfectly split apart from enemies directly in front of you. Having 3 or 4 is optimal. It covers so many unused lines of sight that it helps to make sure no one gets any sneaky hits on you from behind. But you'll have to get used to these hammers because it's the most reliable weapon you have. You have a punch attack, but it's not much, and by not much, I mean it literally does nothing. That's not me exaggerating, it literally does nothing. It doesn't do any damage to anyone in the entire game. The fact any effort was put into implementing something so utterly useless is pretty jokes.
Fist bump like this, Louie!
You've probably noticed by now a few of the power-ups I've grabbed, the most common being pants. For a little while, I never noticed anything really changing when I grabbed the pants. They didn't make me feel any faster, and they didn't give me any defense, so I did notice they filled up a bar each time you grabbed a pair, which I am totally coining as the pants meter, by the way. It wasn't until I had a bunch of pants at once that I noticed that they make your hammer attack faster. I'm fine with the upgrade, don't get me wrong, but why pants? There's about 20 million visual indicators I could think of that would be better for an attack upgrade. A hammer with an up arrow beside it. The letters ATK up. Fucking anything beside a pair of blue pants. All that aside, the pants are crucial to making it further in the game. It's only when the screen's filled with a million enemies at once do the pants feel as if they're actually paying off. Like, oh, that's why they're useful. There are also reflect and reverse upgrades for the hammer, which sounds good in theory, but these are given out sparingly and end up being very situational. The way you finish all the levels is by getting a set amount of brains. It's different for every level. Some are dropped by enemies, some locked behind doors, and some seemingly placed in random locations. However, the objective remains the same. Grab those brains and hit the exit. Once you find them all, you get the sickest reward in video game history.
I'm cool, Cat Bad.
Now, this was something I should have brought up earlier in this review, was anything that has to do with sound within this game, but I knew with 100% certainty that as soon as I started talking about it, I knew I wouldn't be able to smoothly transition onto whatever I was going to talk about next. So I guess now is as good a time as any to talk about anything that has to do with sound in this game. The sound effects are some of the most baffling I've ever heard in a video game, period. Not only is the sound that plays when you collect all the brains in a level amazing, wait till you hear the sound you get when you exit the level. What kind of noise is that? What emotion is he expressing? Sorrow? Joy? Confusion? I don't know. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure every sound effect is just some dude making noises. Check this out.
Hammer up!
Isn't that weird? When I finally realized all the sound effects were just some dude being insane, I was kind of taken aback. This is a perfect case of so bad it's good, but a good that I genuinely came to like because it is so bad. And no, I didn't shut the music off. This game has no music. Where was I? Grabbing brains to finish the level, enemies and locked doors? A lot of Spooky Castle's gameplay is centered around finding keys to open doors, do whatever is in the room, grab another key, so on and so forth. Almost all of them are filled to the brim with enemies, sprinkled with random objects and more walls. There's no rhyme or reason to how enemies are placed or how rooms are laid out. They all serve as momentary pit stops and that's it. The enemies you'll encounter the most are zombies, mummies, and skeletons. The selection couldn't have been more appropriate. With the AI shambling towards you with outstretched arms, they offer little to no challenge to defeat. Skeletons shoot out a little energy ball at you, so they do pose more of a threat, but they're weak as hell and can be taken out rather quickly. Although most of the levels follow a very similar formula, they all do a good job of feeling memorable and unique, with each introducing a new piece of the gameplay, a new enemy type or power-up, with the focus not being centered around it, but being the most memorable aspect of that level. I don't want to give this game credit, especially when I think it was unintentional, but I gotta admit it, they introduced things in a nice, smooth way that didn't really feel overwhelming or hard to remember. It wasn't until I played a level called The Chase where I finally noticed, oh, okay, this game is an asshole. You walk into a cramped passageway with only a small glimmer of light surrounding you. It's a one-on-one battle with an ultra-powerful super zombie. Sounds hard enough. This is when I came across the AK-80-87 assault rifle. It's decent enough, it holds 99 bullets and deals a good amount of damage. Pelting the super zombie with the full 99 bullets from the gun takes away about a third of his health. I could only find 3 of them and they were all sneakily placed, including one hidden behind a secret wall. How fair. After I used the guns to damage him, I started looking around for more weapons and I realized that's all they give you for this level. What an awful design choice. Someone new to this game would waste so much time here thinking that they've done something wrong or missed something, only to find out that it's as simple as there being no weapons left to use. I'll be very kind here and say if you miss 15 to 20 bullets between all 3 guns, you're fucked. You cannot beat this guy, period. The best way to take the super zombie out effectively is by shooting far away from him. If he gets close to you, he picks you up and smacks you around for a little bit, dealing a tremendous amount of damage. So you gotta stand back and open fire, but when you do that, you can't properly see if you're hitting all your shots because the damn room's not lit up. If I even thought I missed a few bullets, I would restart the level. As far as I'm concerned, the game really does want you to take out 33 1/3 of the super zombie's life with each gun. Everything about this stage is set up in a way to be annoying and inconvenient. The lack of clear visuals, the lack of weapons to complete the fight, and the lack of letting the player know, hey, you literally can't finish this level now. There should at least be a red hammer so you can have something to fall back on. Sure, it'll be a long, drawn-out, tedious battle, but everyone and anyone can at least finish the level now. I couldn't believe the nerve on this fucking game. As soon as I finished this ordeal, they decided to spawn another super zombie only steps away from me. But only now give me so many weapons that I don't know what to do with myself. Once I finally finished the level, I leaned back in my chair, put my hands on my head, and let out a deep exhale. Not long after, I fought the first boss in the level titled The Ancient Evil.
Hammer up!
Amazing. By now we're slowly but surely getting close to the end. Thankfully, you don't have to finish every level to beat the game like I said earlier, and that's the route I'm taking because I'm losing my sanity. It's more of the same, just levels haphazardly slapped together. The level of Warm Bath is almost exclusively a giant slap of dirt. There's a raised platform at the top with a sign that reads, The mama spider holds the key, which equates to simply killing all the mama spiders in the level. Very uncreative, but a very old school way of making a progress barrier that sort of halts you in the action. Then I die walking on the pathway. Super zombie hoedown, no actual hoedowns here by the way, is really a challenge. A tight, cramped cave packed with zombies and super zombies. Hammers and pants are widely spaced out and they're real hard to grab without putting yourself in danger. But it was when playing this level that I came to the realization that my movement was getting really good. Early in the game I had a hard time not getting hit with something, but by now, where the stakes are much higher, I'm feeling a real improvement. With most normal games, you feel the sense of progression because you master the tools they give you. You get better at Mario by getting more accustomed and proficient with his movements. Did I just compare Mario to Spooky Castle? Here, the only movement you have is literally walking. Being passively taught how to dart and zip around enemies is one thing I gotta reluctantly give the game some credit for. The last level I want to talk about before we take on the final boss is the level What's with the Bats. This is by far the most annoying, exhausting, mind-numbing gameplay I've experienced in years. Not only are we once again stuck in a dimly lit area with nothing to defend ourselves, I have to listen to the sound of 10,000 bats killing me at once. Like, listen to this. I got a headache from playing this level and hearing this shit. I literally took off my headphones and just played some music off my phone for the rest of the session. I just can't understand how this level wasn't made without the intention of pissing people off. The odds are immediately stacked against you, and there's no clear sign of what action needs to take place to get all these bats off me. It's a literal beginner's trap. After some trial and error runs to scout out where anything of use was, I eventually found a hammer in the upper left-hand corner. This sounds strange, but luckily the hammer was placed at a dead end. That means I could funnel all the bats down to me and gradually take them out one by one. It's kind of a cheese method of dealing with the bats, but walking near them is a death sentence. Hallways are so narrow and clumped together that so many of them can gang up at you at once, and by the time I realize I'm in too deep, I'm already dead. If that didn't seem bad enough, the brains needed to complete the level aren't dropped by enemies, they're hidden around the level. It's like doing an Easter egg hunt in Luigi's Mansion, but with no flashlight. But now there's finally a new section open up on the overworld, and it's time to fight the final boss. Walk in and, oh, not this shit again. Nice to see a new enemy type though, or anything that's not a bat or zombie. They're these green thingies called... okay, whatever. The final boss is the biggest and baddest yet. He has 4 swinging tentacles that all have their own health bar. And he also pukes out giant energy explosions. Ideally, this fight would have been an absolute torture to go through, because before getting to this area, you're only given one hammer. Holy shit. You essentially have to fight 4 mini-bosses at once, being the tentacles, then the thing itself. The first time I fought the thing, I managed to take out half the health of one tentacle before dying. My second try, I stumbled onto some dumb luck. Fighting off a few thingies before making my way to the thing, one of them unblocked a hidden door that I didn't even know was there. Because the left and right sides are the same branching paths just in different directions that go to the same place, I decided to check out the left side and jackpot. It's the exact same as the one I went in before. 1 extra hammer, a few pair of pants, and a hell of a lot of health items. This made the fight way easier and much less stressful. I honestly don't think I would have been able to beat the thing had I not stumbled into these rooms. Like I've brought up in previous levels, there's just so much going on. I can't give anything my full attention. If I only focus on dodging the thing attacking me, then the thingies gang up on me. If I only focus on taking out the thingies, then I can't focus on the giant explosions the thing throws out. There's so much shit to worry about. I just end up trying to Rambo everything and hope I can get through it alive. If I have all my health or a sliver of health, it doesn't matter and I don't really give a shit. But now we've defeated the thing and finally get some information on what's going on. After destroying the evil monster that was leasing the castle for its nefarious schemes, Bofa not only returned the missing wait, excuse me? Bofa? Boafa? Is this a real name? Well, it's our name anyways. After an unnecessary humble brag, we find out Boafa found this creature from a classified ad and is now off to find some more? I gotta say, this is pretty absurd, but at least the game is self-aware in how ridiculous its humor is. But we still haven't hit the tip of the iceberg as far as craziness goes. Check this out. If you enjoyed this little adventure, check out Dr. Lunatic Supreme with Cheese for hundreds more. Seriously, hundreds. I don't know about you guys, but the idea of playing more levels like this, hundreds of more levels like this, actually makes me sick. But what is that? Dr. Lunatic Supreme with Cheese? What? This is something like the sound that I actually wanted to touch on much earlier in the review was the story, and any background information I could find. To the best of my recollection, Spooky Castle never came in any sort of big PC box common in that era. I don't even remember seeing Spooky Castle on a physical CD at my summer camp, so I have no clue how they got a hold of it. So I guess to better understand what Spooky Castle is, we should go ahead and check out Dr. Lunatic Supreme with Cheese. Holy shit, this looks familiar, doesn't it? It's like Spooky Castle, but not a steaming pile of dog shit. Yeah, this game is actually super fun. We have more enemies, more power-ups, more unique themes. This gigantic list isn't a list of individual levels, it's a list of complete worlds with multiple levels in them. There's hundreds of hours worth of content here. I'm kinda blown away, actually. You can find money on the ground in the form of coins, which are used to play more levels, and you can also unlock gallery pictures for completing different tasks. I have no clue what this is supposed to be, though. But this has me wondering more now, like, who is Dr. Lunatic, and where does Spooky Castle fit in all this? Dr. Lunatic came out in the year 2000 and was made by Hamumu Software, also known as Mike Jamul Hamel. Only him. He's been making games since the early 90s, but this was his first game made not under the Jamul alias. Or is it? According to the Hamumu wiki, Spooky Castle came out in 1998. So, how is a game that didn't come out until 2 years later mentioned at the end of it? The wiki also states that Spooky Castle was re-released as free-to-play in 2004. So, was this put in after the fact when the game was made free-to-play? But if that's the case, isn't it a bit weird to tell your audience to go and play a game that's 4 years older but subjectively way better? I'm not even sure if the wiki is accurate with this information. All this feels really odd to me. I did, however, find out that Spooky Castle was distributed by eGames, a company that had a hand in putting lots of mediocre PC games out in the open market. But I still can't find a box or CD or anything to show that Spooky Castle was ever sold physically. Now comes the time where I give my final thoughts and recommendations, and as much as it pains me to say this, do not play Spooky Castle. Outside of the nonsensical sound effects and the occasional chuckle at some goofy looking characters, there isn't anything that would hold anyone's attention for more than 10 minutes. Fuck, maybe even 5 minutes. The game is just way too abrasive and does not structure itself well. So many levels are centered around killing a massive amount of enemies while trying to hunt down a weapon to simply defend yourself. There's too many asinine, bullshit, unfair scenarios that just don't lead to anything fun. When you progress in Spooky Castle, all you're rewarded with is more mediocre levels. I don't feel rewarded at all. I just feel disgusted for putting myself through this. I would, however, legitimately recommend giving Dr. Lunatic a try. The game is free for download on itch.io like Spooky Castle is. There's so much more variety and features compared to Spooky Castle. There's so much creativity and diversity here, it's stupid. Plus, if you happen to play a world you don't like, you can just exit and play a different one. There were a few worlds that straight up froze my game, so I'm not sure how optimized this is to run on modern systems, but it only happened a few times. With that being said, I still have a warm spot in my heart for Spooky Castle. That guilty pleasure song or album you like despite knowing how truly awful it is. We all like things like this, and I think it's okay to like things like this, especially when you can look at them for what they really are. Spooky Castle is a piece of crap, but it's my piece of crap.